Well, good evening, everybody. Blair Nightingale here. Market Monday, ready to go. So glad to see you guys already in the new year, seeing you guys joining up, watching, rewatching, sharing this video. Thankful for that. Love to have you guys. Here we are, as I mentioned last time, in 2022, ready for a new year, new hope, new fire, new goals coming at you from Tradeway here, helping you guys out there reach your financial goals. Reach your financial goals. I meet new people every week already here in 2022. Met a lot of new people who are excited about learning in the stock market. Some of you guys have just gotten started and you're here so that I can stoke that flame of excitement. Some of you are here, you're just curious. You just ended up on this page. Somebody maybe shared this with you. You're not even sure what this is all about. Maybe you've been interested in the stock market for a while. Maybe you think, oh, is there a crash coming in the market? I want to know. We're going to touch on all those things here on Market Monday. In fact, we're going to touch on all that tonight. Tonight, we're talking about something really cool that I have hinted at many times here on this program on Market Monday, because I talk about options. Now, some of you, I get it. Listen, you're like where I was at in 2016. You don't even know what I mean when I say options. Some of you may be vaguely familiar with it. You've heard of it. Some of you are a little further along. Maybe you've even traded options. Our good friend Jeffrey just chimed in the chat there from Facebook saying howdy, howdy. So happy to be here. Now, usually Jeffrey gives us a bit of a weather update. I'm glad you're here, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is in our program. So I know that Jeffrey knows what I'm going to talk about tonight. But listen, no matter where you're at on that spectrum, on that scale, I want you to stick with me for just a little bit here. Because listen, in this broadcast, okay, I am going to tell you and show you how options are so powerful. So with that said, I mentioned we've got some people popping in on the chat. I'm going to say hi. We've got Jeffrey here. Now, just because you comment doesn't mean I'll stick your name up on the screen. For some of you who are saying, I don't want my name on the screen. Some of you do. Some of you do. You can let me know. That's fine by me. Jeffrey, howdy, howdy. Mario is back with us. He is saying hi to all and everyone. Thank you, guys. Facebook friends, YouTube friends, no matter where you are, you can chime in. You can comment. It's a great time to ask questions. I always say that. If you want to chime in and ask some questions, it can be about something I'm talking about. It can be something unrelated to that specific topic, but related to stocks. I'd be happy to tackle that with you. It's a great place to do it. Where else do you get to go on a Monday night on YouTube, on Facebook, and have this discussion and ask whatever questions you want? So please go ahead and do that. Hey there, Blair. Great to see you. Delgado, I see you there. I'm going to pop that up really quick. Appreciate you being on here. 51 and hot in Colorado. Yeah, hey, 51's not bad for January in Colorado. So that's good to know. Thank you, guys. I'll be continuing to check back in on the comments there. Now, I'm going to ask you something a little tongue-in-cheek. I think we already know the answer to this. But have you guys ever heard somebody say, ignorance is bliss? Right? Isn't it funny, some of the things we say culturally? I think most of us on here are going to see right through this. But, ignorance is bliss. Or what you don't know can't hurt you. Isn't it funny? How did those things even get traction? I assume most people don't really believe that. Certainly not believers, right? Not Christians, because actually what we believe is so deeply important. Didn't the Lord Jesus say that it's the truth that'll set you free? Now, this is first in faith, okay? What we believe, what we assess to be true, what we know is true is massive. It's massive. And in the start of 2022, let's just put this right in front of ourselves. Let's give ourselves this challenge. I'm just going to take a straight look at what is true tonight. We're not necessarily focusing on the faith side of it, but that helps us understand how important this is, because somebody might say, and I'll just set options aside for a second. We're talking about options tonight. Let's just talk about finances. I heard somebody say a couple weeks ago, when's the last time you had a really honest conversation about money? What do I want to do with it? Where do I want to go? How can I change this, right? So when we talk about options, I'm starting from this position. It's something that we may not know much about, right? We may not know much about it at all. We maybe have barely, if not ever, even heard of it. And what I'm going to do in the next 25 to 30 minutes is I'm going to show you convincingly that options are extremely helpful for those of us who are even remotely interested in saying, you know, if there's a potential for me to make some money in the stock market, I want to learn how. Now, I might have some hangups. I might have some fears. I might have some reservations. I might have some questions. I anticipate all of those things, but the truth is going to be important here. And a lot of us have just never heard this. And that's my whole point. We've just never heard it. Ignorance is not bliss in our finances. What we don't know can hurt us. What we don't know can limit us. And it does every day. Every day. Interestingly enough, Peter said, add to your faith knowledge. So we're going to add some knowledge in your financial life tonight. And that's what this is all about, because ignorance is bliss. Nothing could be further from the truth in your financial life. And that's what this program is all about, because it is the truth that sets us free. And it's the truth here that when I was educated about this, I realized, wow, there is something that I have access to do just with an internet connection that I didn't know was even there, let alone how to do it safely. Now, we're going to talk about that too, because a lot of you are thinking, can I do this safely? We're going to talk about that, but we got to know what it even is first. So options are so cool, you guys. Who out there thinks that maybe we might be getting close to a bear market crash? Or maybe you're just a little concerned at where the market's at, right? Ruben, I see you on here looking for a bigger blessing in 2022. Praise Jesus. Hey, man, we go from glory to glory. We pass through challenges. In this world, you will what? You will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. So we walk with one who is victorious. So I'm believing with you, Ruben, for victory in this new year as well. That's what I want. That's what I want for you. You know, it's funny. Sometimes you talk like that and people can get mad. I'm not talking to anybody on this broadcast. We haven't had that here, but it's funny. It's funny. You can be audacious in your hope in the Lord, and sometimes people get mad, but that's not going to happen here, is it? I am with you on that 110%, right? Jeffrey's going to pray. Brenda, I see you on there. This is great. Love having you guys. We got community synergy happening. People are praying for one another. We're going after this together, and I'm going to show you something practical tonight. Listen, here's something that's really cool. I commit to you that by the end of this time, if you know what an option is, you're going to have a better understanding. In almost all cases. I only say that because I know we've got some people in our program here, and you've been in this quite a bit. But for everybody else too, listen, you're going to know how this works. You're going to know what this is. I'm not going to teach everything about options in 25 minutes, but I am going to show you just how powerful they can be. So instead of talking about how cool they are, let's talk about them directly. Okay. So some of us have never heard of options. Let me just ask for the bold and the brave tonight. Is there anybody on here who has never even heard of an option? When I say trading stocks, you go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. When I say trading options, you go, you lost me there. Let's give it 15 seconds. I know there's always a delay on our Facebook, YouTube comments. You can comment from either. So please know that you are welcome to do so. If I don't see anybody, I'm going to assume everybody has at least heard of an option. Maybe you don't understand the ins and outs, but you've at least heard of an option. So we're starting there tonight. This is really cool, you guys. I'm not just being excited because we're on a live broadcast. This is really, when we teach this event, okay, Merlin says, I heard options. I don't know diddly about it. Merlin, I'm sorry. That's a great comment. I got to put you up there, man. Honest, right? Now, listen, I never heard of them when I started. My first event with Tradeway in Philadelphia in 2016, never heard of them. How many people out there tonight need to hear that you can start learning about stocks, options, the stock market? Maybe you have a desire for an at-home business. Maybe you have a 401k or some kind of retirement vehicle, and you're a little concerned about it because you don't know what's going to happen in the market. Now, none of us have a crystal ball, but you'd like to be able to ask some good questions, right? That's bare minimum for us. That's the right thing to be thinking and feeling. We want to equip you with that. Wherever you're at, you maybe you're going, hey, I want to learn a little bit more. That's all I did in 2016. I said, I just want to know. I don't know. I felt like I was being led by God. I didn't know, and I started from scratch. Okay, so I want you guys to know that, just like Merlin said here, right? Just like one of you guys said, we don't have to know anything about it yet. Now, he's heard of it, okay? So a lot of us have at least heard of it. Brenda said, I heard from the Tradeway Live Trade Surge event in Fort Lauderdale last week, okay? Normally I'm there, Brenda. I wasn't there this time. I wish I could have been with you. Knowing is half the battle, says Jeffrey. There's a reference there. So Brenda, yeah, I see options. So we've got a mixed bag, right? And that's how it always is, right? Some of us know a little, some of us don't know anything. Some of us know a lot. Options, okay? So what is an option, okay? Well, let me hit this first, because I think if I start with some questions that you guys can relate to and you can answer, I think that's an easier place to start understanding what it is that I'm talking about. So let me just ask you a few questions to start out, okay? Would you rather? I've got a couple of would you rather questions. And again, this is a little tongue in cheek, but it's going to help set the stage here. Would you rather have more opportunities in stock trading, or would you rather have less? Let's say you have your own at-home stock trading business. In any business, would you rather have more customers or less customers? Well, of course, we would rather have more customers. Well, in trading, we're looking for more good opportunities. Would you rather have more good opportunities? Of course you would. Brenda Delgado, I can see in there, right? I said a little tongue in cheek. Well, of course we'd rather have more, Blair. Yes, we would. But this is helpful, right? We're getting somewhere with this. Let me keep going on this for a minute. Would you rather use a smaller amount, meaning you'd have to spend less and risk less of your money? Would you rather risk a smaller amount with the potential to actually make more with that smaller amount than you would if you were trading stocks? Now, again, you say, well, I don't know. I don't think I know what an option is yet. That's okay. We're going to get there. But would you rather risk less money with the potential of making more? Well, any investor, any trader, any business owner, right? Anybody who spends money. Ultimately, if we spend money, there is a belief that what we are spending is of at least equal or greater value to the money we're spending, right? Somebody says, oh, that car costs $15,000. You go, well, I'll give you 19, right? Nobody does that, right? It's just a basic law. We're spending money on things that we consider at least equal to or greater than in value. So a basic law of investing is I want to invest as little as possible for the best possible ROI that I can possibly have. ROI meaning return on investment. With options, it gives you the ability to spend less and potentially actually even make more. I'm going to show you how. So there's question number 2. Would you rather? Well, of course you'd rather spend less with the potential to make more. Let's ask one more question like this, right? Would you rather lose your money that's sitting in the stock market, your retirement, whatever it might be? Would you rather lose it in a bear market? Or would you rather learn how to protect it if and when the market moves down? And we know that it will move down. We don't predict when, but we have skill sets here at Tradeway that help us know when it's time to protect our money. It's not a guessing game. It's not a crystal ball. But it is something that we're prepared for, right? We may not know the exact dates. This is like Jesus says, it's the exact dates and times is not for you to know, but he tells us to what? To watch out and consider the signs of the times. So we can discern seasons, spiritually speaking, even though we may not know the exact day. Well, this is, again, a similar sort of principle, right? We can learn the seasons. And in this case, it means you and I protecting our money. So would you rather lose your money in a bear market or learn to protect it? And even with options, we've talked about this on Market Monday, have the potential to make money when the market's crashing. Now, there's a brain flip for sure for most of us. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. You say, well, you haven't told me how that would work yet. That's true. But I'm introducing a few scenarios that I'm pretty sure we all have the same answers. I'd rather have more opportunities. Options helps me do that. I'd rather risk a smaller amount with the potential to make more. That sounds great. Yes, it does sound great. Options give us the potential to do that. I don't think I'd rather lose money in a bear market. That doesn't sound good to me, right? I'd rather not leave it in all the way down to the bottom of a bear market and lose 20, 30, 40%, like I've heard from many, many people, right? I'm not just making that up. These are the stories I hear. 2000, 2008, even COVID last year. Well, I guess it's 2 years now, right? No, you'd rather learn to protect your money and even have the potential to make some when the market's moving down. All of those seem pretty compelling to me. That's a great place to start, because before I go telling you option this and option that, what I'm explaining to you tonight is that you have the ability to pursue all three of those and not have the answer we don't want, right? We can go after the ones we do want from those questions and not the ones we don't. And that's why we would want to learn options. That's why this is so cool. Okay. And guess what? Potential to make money when the market's moving down, and you never even have to short the stock. Now, some of you don't know what shorting is. We've talked about that here on Market Monday, but it's an investment strategy that makes money when the market moves down, but it is extremely risky. And for most of us, our broker, the person who helps us execute trades in the stock market, they won't even let us do it. Now, at Tradeway, we don't teach shorting. So for those of you who are a little more savvy, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the potential to make money when the market's moving down, but using options, we don't have to do those very risky strategies. Jeffrey says, I'd rather lose it all. I'd rather lose it. Hey, Jeffrey, I'll tell you what, you don't have to lose it all. I'm just going to send you my email and you can go ahead and wire that over to me. Or maybe you can break it up amongst everybody on here. I suppose everybody else out here would be fine with that, right? No, Mario says a smaller risk for the potential of more, less risk with probability to make more. I'm being silly, right? I'm asking you guys questions I know the answer to, right? But this is helping us frame why. Why is this important? Okay, so now I want to explain to you, and this is where we're going to break something open for a lot of folks tonight. What is an option? Because when you talk about it, I kind of know we're talking about the stock market, but give me a framework. What does this mean, option? Okay, like Myrtle said, I heard of it, but I don't know anything. Okay, so first, what is an option? So when you and I open a brokerage account, which is a bank account essentially where we can buy and sell stocks, right? There's a broker. There's somebody brokering that transaction. They're the middleman for you and I. It's one of the cool things about having an at-home stock trading business. You always have a buyer and seller. Imagine you own a house. You want to sell it. Now, some places in the country right now, you're not going to have any problem selling a house, okay? But it's harder to buy one. And in some seasons, it's harder to get rid of it. And in some areas of the country, it's harder to get rid of it, right? Real estate market's pretty hot right now, right? I'm not saying it's not. But buying and selling a house can be, if anybody out there has done it, man, it can take a lot of work. It can take a lot of work. Buying and selling a stock, instantaneous. And guess what? In the stock market, there's always a buyer. Why? Because our broker is going to contact Wall Street. And there's always a buyer. There's always a seller. So if I want to buy Apple stock, for example, I can buy it. As long as the market is open, Monday through Friday. It was actually closed today for the MLK, right? As long as the market's open, I can buy and sell. So you and I just have to learn how to do it. But we never have a problem with that. So that's what our broker does. When you and I go into our brokerage account, right? Some of you have one, some of you don't. That's okay. When we go into our brokerage account, we can go and say, I would like to buy Apple stock. And I'm going to buy X amount of shares of Apple stock, right? That's a beginning starting point for us to understand how we can start to make money in the stock market. If I buy Apple stock at, say, $100, just using easy numbers, and I sell it at 120 for one share, I bought at 100, I sold at 120, I made $20 a share, right? Now we're making money pressing buttons on our computer, right? If the stock goes up, you say, well, yeah, but we could lose money. Well, you could, but here at Tradeway, we're going to show you how to minimize the risk and ultimately get out of any trade that's not working with minimal loss, right? So we can go, and that's the basic description of buying a stock. I thought you were going to tell us about options, though. I am. Instead of buying the stock, right, especially now in 2022, because options trading has grown tremendously in popularity. You know, when I started in 2016, you used to have to go to your broker and apply to be able to trade options, right? You had to apply to trade options just so they knew, you know, what an option really was. Now, they'll let you trade. Now, I can't speak for every broker, but most of them, they'll just let you trade options. It's changed. Starting an at-home stock trading business in 2022 is a whole different ballgame. The stock market is not this fringe, weird thing anymore, right? Trading right from your smartphone is more common than you might think. So we got to get rid of that. That's an old mindset, right? You can't mix the old with the new. This is, again, what Jesus said, right? These principles hold so true. You can't mix the old with the new. It's 2022. For a lot of us, it's time to get some brand new money mindsets. Leave some of them behind in 2021. Ask the Holy Spirit, what's a money mindset that needs to stay in 2021 for me and my family? I can't take that one into 2022. If I take that one into 2022, I'm going to get the same thing in 2022 that I got in 2021, right? We've got to change the mindset. Why? He said you can't mix old wine with new wineskins. What happens? You lose the skins, you lose the wine. You lose both, right? Our mind is like a wineskin, right? We've got to renew it and put new in there. The new goes with the new. So this is the direction we're heading, and options is a part of that. So I want to hit on this. Ken said, hey, Blair, I just want to say hi to you, Ken. Thanks for being on here. Brenda says, work smarter, not harder. Right? Stock market is smart. You say, well, yeah, but we need to learn some things. Of course you do. That's why Tradeway exists, right? But we can all learn. We can learn. I'm proof of that. We can learn. We can learn. Better than pressing buttons on computers, we can press buttons on our phone, which really, let's be honest, the phone is basically a computer now. We still call it a phone, but how many of us barely even use it as a phone? It is literally the way we can set alarms, set up trades, execute trades. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit off with that because I'm talking about how this is so amazing, but you can go in and instead of buying the Apple stock, you could go in and you would find something that is not a stock for Apple, right? It's not the Apple shares. I could buy 1 share, 10 shares, 100 shares, but we're actually going to buy an option on Apple. So now we're getting into something different. And when I talk about trading options, we're still trading with the company, but we're going to do a contract of an option instead of shares. Now, before I lose you, right? Let me give you an explanation. We just talked about real estate. Okay. So I'm going to pick somebody out of our crowd here. Brenda, I'm going to use you. So let's just say Brenda and I are going to talk about her selling her house. Brenda's got her house for sale. Now we're going to use easy numbers tonight, okay? Brenda's got her house for sale for $100,000. $100,000 is the market price for Brenda's house. Now, I believe that because so many people are moving to Texas, Brenda, I don't know where you live right now, but specifically speaking, but let's just say in Texas, so many people are moving here. So many people are moving to Florida. I'm sure there's a few other places as well represented here on Market Monday tonight. But I think the price of that home is going to go up, right? I like the area. I hear that there's some great companies moving into the city, and I think real estate's going to keep going up. So I go to Brenda and I go, you know what? In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't really want to spend $100,000 on the house right now. Maybe I don't have $100,000, but I'd really like to get into this financial opportunity because I do think that the value of this home is going to go up. So what can I do? Okay, Brenda, I love your notes there. I'm going to go to Brenda and I'm going to say, hey, Brenda, let's make a deal. You and I are going to enter into a contract. We're going to enter into a contract. I'm not going to buy the house today, but I'm going to tell you what, Brenda, I'm going to pay you cash today to enter into an agreement with me that in 12 months' time, I have the right to buy your house at $100,000. I don't have to. But at any point in the next 12 months, maybe it could be 6, right? In fact, let's say that. Let's say 6 months. Any point in the next 6 months, I can buy your house for $100,000. Okay? She goes, yeah, I think we've probably kind of peaked. The market's probably peaked. So I am willing to do that. But Blair, you're going to have to pay me to enter into that agreement. I want $15,000 to enter into that agreement. Whether you buy the house or not, I want $15,000. Okay? And I go, okay, I agree to that. So we enter into a contract where I've now paid Brenda $15,000 and we have, I should have a piece of paper with me right now. I've got a contract in my hand. Just imagine it that way. It's in your hand right now. You've got a contract, and the contract says that if I want to, I can call up Brenda on my computer, my smartphone, and I can say, I'd like to buy the house. And that's it. She has the obligation to sell it to me no matter what the market price is. Okay? So let's say 7 months. Now we said a year or 6, just to be clear. Let's say the contract is for 12 months, right? Paid her $15,000 for that. We're just using easy numbers tonight, okay? So I'm now in this contract. She's in this contract. And as I suspected, Amazon moves into town, right? Amazon's got a big shipping supply center that's moving in. They're going to build it, and growth explodes again. The house goes up. Let's say, again, I'm using easy numbers. I know these are big numbers for real estate, but let's just say $150,000. Let's say in almost 12 months, almost at the very end of 12 months, her house goes up to $150,000. What can I do? Right? What can I do? I can go to my contract that Brenda and I made, and I can say, hey, Brenda, I'd like to buy your house. And she goes, oof, my house, I could sell it for $150,000 because that's the market price now. But I made a deal with Blair that I would sell it for $100,000 if it's within that 12-month time frame. That was the deal. That was the terms of that contract. So Brenda now has the obligation to sell me the house. She still makes $100,000 on the house if I go ahead and purchase it. So obviously I paid $15,000 on the contract, but then I go and I spend the $100,000 and I buy the home. Boom, there you go. Now, what if I said, like I mentioned earlier, well, what if I don't want to buy the house? Or what if I don't even have the money to buy the house? What if I don't have $100,000 in cash, right? I paid the 15, which is just a fraction, but I didn't pay the full 100. How much is that contract worth to me now that the house has gone up to 150? It was at 100, but now it's at 150. And that contract can still be used. It hasn't gone to full 12 months yet. It hasn't expired, right? It'll expire at 12 months. We haven't hit that yet. Let's say, and I'm going to pull Ken into this conversation. Let's say Ken does have $100,000 and Ken's interested in buying that house. Well, if Ken takes that contract from me and he uses it, he'll immediately be able to flip the house for a $50,000 profit. Why? Because the contract allows him to buy the house at $100,000. But what's the market price? $150,000. So he uses it and immediately flips the house for $50,000. What does that mean for Blair? It means that the contract is no longer worth $15,000 to me. It's worth $50,000. It's worth $50,000 because the owner of that contract can flip that house for $150,000. That contract is now worth more to me because it's more beneficial. Now, there are probably questions. Why would Brenda do that? Why would she do that? Who's actually going to buy the house? What if you can't find a buyer? All these questions come up in this conversation. But remember what I said about the stock market. Remember, we're just using real estate as an example, right? We don't need to find buyers. We don't need to use agents. We don't have to do appraisals. We don't have to do inspections. We don't have to do any of that stuff because we're talking about the stock market. Except in the stock market, it's not a house, it's the Apple stock. That's the asset in the stock market. Except we're not actually going to buy and sell the Apple stock. We're just going to use the contract. And it works exactly the same way as what I just described to you. The value of the contract is going to be more or less favorable depending on what the stock does. We call these derivatives, which is a fancy way of just saying the contract derives its value from the stock. Just like in our story with Brenda, the contract derived its value from the house, right? So Brenda now has the obligation to sell me the house at $100,000, even though the market price is now $150,000 because I was right about it going up. And instead of me buying the house, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell the contract to Ken. Ken then pays me for the contract, $50,000, because that's what it's worth to him, right? Minus what I spent on the contract with Brenda, right? I spent $15,000. Brenda gets to keep that. Brenda gets to keep that, okay? Certain aspects of that, right, are very helpful to help us understand the basic idea, right? It is a very, very helpful description because that is ultimately getting us into the mindset of, oh, we're not actually talking about the house anymore. We're talking about a contract that can fluctuate in value, but it's connected to the house. That is an option. In fact, if you noticed earlier, I said an options contract. So you and I can go into our broker, and instead of buying the stock, we can buy an options contract. Now, today is just an introduction. This gives you an idea of what it is. Because remember what we talked about, right? Would you rather have more good opportunities? We have the potential to have more good opportunities when we don't need so much capital to buy stock, just like the house. We don't need so much. It can cost a lot of money to buy a lot of shares of the best companies that are out there. Tesla, Apple, Facebook, right? A lot of these great companies, Walmart, and so on and so forth, the stock prices are high. So unless you and I already have a lot of capital, it doesn't necessarily in trading, right? Short-term trading, cash flow trading for you and me, it doesn't necessarily work for us. Options give us the ability to do that because we don't need to, in a sense, buy the whole house. We could just do the contract for a fraction of a price, but still benefit from the movement of the stock. So that gives us the ability to have way more opportunities, right? Would you rather lose money in a bear market when it's moving down, or would you rather protect your money and potentially make money when the market moves down? Because guess what? I can change the terms of the contract, and I have the ability to make money when the stock's moving down. I just have to learn how to change the contract. It's not complicated. You just got to learn how to do some stuff, right? It's not complicated. You just have to learn how to do some stuff. Some of this is just new. I think it's really important for people who are learning this to make a separation between what's complicated and what's just unfamiliar. Sometimes we shortchange ourselves as learners because we call something complicated when actually it's just unfamiliar. The difference is that complicated is truly complex with a lot of moving parts. Unfamiliar is just exposure. We just need to be exposed to it enough times where it clicks. So you don't have to stand on the outside when others know how to trade options. Remember, what's the other question we asked, right? Would you rather use a smaller amount of money with the potential to make more? Okay. You could use a smaller amount of money using options, right? Using options. So some of you guys out there, you're wanting to make money when the market goes up, down, and sideways. Options help you do that. You're wanting to protect your money and even potentially make some money in the next bear market crash. Options help you do that, right? You don't necessarily have a lot of capital, or you would prefer not to risk so much capital in your stock trades with the potential to make more on each trade. And options do carry that potential, right? So options can do that for you. That is so much of the power here. You say, Blair, are we just getting into this? Yes, we are. Tradeway has a 2-day course and memberships that teach people how to do this so that you get the information you need and you also get the application that you need. This isn't something that we do shotgun or we just trade it or learn it in 25 minutes. But I wanted to give you a solid introduction into what this is, okay? Because this is for most, I'm going to say, Tradeway students. Now, not all. This is all they do. Once they learn how to do this, they realize how powerful it is, and it's the primary focus of our program. Now, we do stocks, and I've gone back and done stock trades as well, but I've primarily focused on options because the benefits are so huge. Now, let me say this last thing. The market is never, I should say this, trading is never guessing, gambling, or going for it. You guys who've been on before, you've heard me say that many times. And I want to say that tonight. I meant to say it earlier because I want people to understand that when we talk about trading options or stocks, we are not talking about guessing, right? We're not talking about just throwing money at the market like a casino and hoping that we walk away with money. That is not what we teach here at Tradeway. We teach a system that we apply on every trade that teaches us what to trade, when to trade, and why we would trade it. Right? It's organized, it's methodical, it's not complicated, but it is specific because we don't guess, we don't gamble, and we don't go for it in our trading. Why is that important tonight in our conversation? Because whether you're doing stocks or options, we're going to teach you how to do this safely. And for a lot of us, we've maybe tried the stock market, but we didn't know how to manage our own risk. We didn't have a system that took the gambling, guessing, and going for it out of it, right? Or we've just been too afraid to start, either because it's too unfamiliar or because we thought, I'm just going to lose my money. I'm here to tell you that we're going to teach you how to do this safely. And options have amazing advantages, as we talked about tonight. But we've also got to learn how to manage them safely. Just like any investment, we've got to learn how to do it safely. That's what we teach in our classes. If you go over to tradeway.com, you will see we have memberships available that teach you how to trade options. You have coaches like myself and others who are going to actually help you know how to information and application, okay? And if that wasn't enough, I'm going to put this in the comment box here. We've got a free webinar with yours truly and one of our other coaches here at Tradeway, Pete Bright is his name. He's going to be on there with me. This is a free informational webinar. We're going to do twice as long as what I did tonight. It's 40 minutes, maybe about an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to do a free webinar. Tradeway has a new charting software. We have our very own stock charting software. And there's so many cool features on it that help you know when, why, and what to trade, we're going to take you into that as well. So you can sign up for that as well. But I want to hit on some of these comments here. Danny, how do I sign up, says Danny. If you head on over to tradeway.com, I'm literally going to pull up the link for you and I will pop it in the chat. I see that there are, let's see here. Go right to there. Just took a second for my page to load there. Right at the top of the page. I'm actually, like I said, I'm going to steal this link here. Sorry, it took me a second there, guys. I popped it. Oh, no, it didn't go. There it is. I popped it for our friends on YouTube, friends on Facebook. It's in there, the second link there. That's the link to our step one, start your journey. That's how you get started with our whole program. Okay, that's how you get started with our whole program. You can always email Market Monday, right? You can always email us, support@tradeway.com. Support@tradeway.com. If you ever have questions for me specifically and you didn't get them asked or answered here on the broadcast, you can always send that in to me. I popped that into the chat as well. Now, we've got a couple of great comments. Ken says, good point. Something being unfamiliar doesn't necessarily make it complicated. Hey, full disclosure, is there some things in trading down the line that I've found to be more complicated than when I started? Yeah, no, there's some things, and some of it I don't even bother with. Listen, Wall Street tries to make everything as complicated as they can at some level. What I'm talking about tonight does not have to be complicated. It might be unfamiliar, but that doesn't necessarily mean complicated. And that's something maybe that a lot of us needed to hear in many areas of our lives, not just tonight. Brenda says in the real estate market, there can be about 24 total people working together on each contract to help make the property sale close. That's a lot of people to get on the same page to keep moving forward until closing the sale. Looks to me that options trading involves less people. The thing about options trading and trading in general is that all the infrastructure to buy and sell is in place because Wall Street has already made it. In 2022, because we have the internet and laptops and phones, we get access to all that infrastructure. And the however many people it takes to make it work doesn't matter to me because I never have to talk to them. I talk to my broker, and even that is not on the phone anymore. I just use it online or on my phone. It's a push of several buttons. Some of us didn't know that, right? Once we learn how to know what to safely buy and sell, then you ought to know that you and I can do it when we roll out of bed in the morning, or potentially while we're at our job or on the go. Take 2 minutes, go on your phone. We can make space and time. We have tens of thousands of students across the United States. A lot of those people are working full-time. And they're making trading work for them as they move towards their goals. Let us show you how we do that, because somebody needed to hear that. Brenda, amazing insight, amazing comment, so true. There is an opportunity in real estate, no question, but the differences need to be understood and the risks need to be understood. And with the real estate market as high as it is right now, doing what it's doing, it's prudent to be asking good questions about, is this really the best time to be doing that? And look at the benefits that I have in the stock market, both in the accessibility, but also the flexibility, no matter what the season is. I'm not getting more concerned that the market's going to fall. Now, I am assessing that the market is getting closer to a crash. I'm not guessing when the crash is tonight, right? You didn't hear that, but we are getting into more bearish conditions, and I could prove that to you on a stock chart tonight. So why wouldn't I be more afraid? Because I, A, know the conditions that precipitate, that come before a bear market crash, and I have the skill sets to make potential money when it's falling. That's a game changer. Remember what I said about it's just a matter of learning some stuff, okay? Ken says, we don't guess, we don't gamble, we don't go for it. And that's true. We say that all the time around here. Terrence said, that's important info. I try to put play. What's a put play? That's an option. That's an option that makes money when the stock goes down. With Netflix at around $77 while it was hot. If a stock's really hot, am I going to make money when it's going down? No, we want a dog of a stock when we're doing that. It went up and never looked back. So Terrence knew how to what? Manage his risk, cut his loss. So even though there might have been a loss there, it wasn't very big. Doesn't have to be, right? Jeffrey says, thanks, y'all. Have a blessed night. Awesome, says Brenda. Thank you, everybody. That's 45 minutes. That's usually what we do right here on Market Monday. Hey, I told you at the beginning, you're going to know what's an option. And now you know. You don't know everything about options, right? But you know what an option is, what the benefits are, and you know where you can go to learn. Right here, click on the link, sign up for the informational webinar that we've got coming up. It's all about our charting software. It's free. Join me, join Pete. We're going to talk trading with you. You can come on and see us there. Support at tradeway.com. Care of Market Monday. My name's Blair Nightingale. You can always reach out to me. Please do. Don't be shy. Don't hesitate. Brenda, Mario, Jeffrey, Terrence, and everybody else can. I know there were some others on here today. Thank you guys for joining in. It makes the class much more enjoyable every time. I appreciate you. And we are back next week with more. We will see you guys. I want to hit this. Ken, you got me. I'd love to be more aware of the stock market changes from bull to bear because I think I can adjust my 401k accordingly. We can show you how to do that. Very, very low risk for you, Ken. You head on over to tradeway.com. You can join our introductory class. We're going to talk all about market seasons, which is right at the heart of your question that you just asked. We're going to do that in our first introductory class. This is not a fluff class. You're going to learn how to use our system in that class. It's less than $99. It's an introduction, and it's 1,000% worth it. I highly recommend you go over there and you get that. Okay, Ken? Appreciate you. Thanks, everybody, and good night.